How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to lucky episode number 7 of the Sick Podcast with your host, That Leafs Fan. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been really nice living in the clouds for a bit, but this team just came crashing down, and now we are back to reality. But before I get into any of that, producer, roll the tape.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With That Leafs Fan.
They score! They score! Holy mackerel, they score! Morgan Riley! Mo Riley! The Leafs have won it! They're going to the second round! Do you believe this? Holy mackerel!
The sickest Toronto Maple Leafs podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back to episode 7, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're doing better than the Leafs. This last game, bleh, vomit, garbage. We're gonna get to that, but first, let's start on the clouds. Let's start this one on a good note. Leafs, because I didn't get to recap it, ended up playing the Minnesota Wild for game number 2 of the season at home, and they ended up going 2-0. More notably, as I said before, Auston Matthews just looking like a different beast out there, getting his second hat trick in a row. That is my main focus of this game. That's pretty much what I retained, because essentially what Matthews' hat trick did was cover up all the garbage that the Leafs did in that game, to be honest. And that exact garbage that was covered up was found in game 3 against the Hawks yesterday, and Matthews didn't get a hat trick in that one, so he couldn't cover that one up. So I'll just save all of that stuff for the third game recap. But the Leafs playing the Minnesota Wild, they end up winning this one 7-4. It's like a football game. I don't know. These early season games are always like this, where there's literally just like 75,000 goals in like 60 minutes of hockey. Don't really know how to explain it. Auston Matthews with his 4th, 5th, and 6th goal of the season in this one. And he just put the team on his back, quite frankly. To be honest, they started off slow again in this one. I'm saying it, and it's like the second or third game of the season. But they get out, down 1-0. They come back answering like a storm in that first period, get 2 and 3 goals. They then head into the second period. They make it 4-1. They nearly blow another 4-1 lead, as if we haven't heard that one enough before. It goes 1-2 for Minnesota. They bring it back. My God. I'm not restarting this clip. We're going to enjoy the kerfuffle of a podcast that this is going to be, because it's so fitting that I don't even know what to say right now, because the Leafs don't know what they're doing on the ice right now either. So it kind of just goes hand in hand. That's what we call a little thing called back to reality. We all ain't perfect, right? So the second game, this team scored their way out of problems. Again, they did it against the Habs. They're capable of doing it again, and they did it again against the Minnesota Wild. They had many good moments, but they had those brain lapses which almost completely threw out the game. Luckily, Philip Gustafsson had an awful game in net for the Wild, and you got to feel for him after a shutout in the first game. You're like, damn, this guy's going to be good. This one he lets in 7. Happens. Probably a bit of a write-off for him. But the Leafs managed to get the 2 points in this one. And like I said in the first, I'm like, you know what? The first game, that being said, they got the 2 points, which is important. We take it, we run. I don't know what's going on with this team's defense. There's going to be it's 3 games in. I don't even think I'm overreacting. We've let in 12 goals in 3 games. We won 2 of them. The problem is, in the third one, we couldn't score our way out of our problems, because you shouldn't be of scoring your way out of problems all the time. You got to also learn how to play the other end of the game, which is defense, something this team has mightily struggled with over the last very long time, my entire existence at least. They just, I don't know what's going on in their own end. Um, it's just a disaster. It's a mess. I'm gonna cue that into the third game recap because we won game 2. It was great. Austin Matthews got the hat trick. I know for a fact that is the only thing any of us remember. Let's be very honest with ourselves. We don't remember any of the bad from game 1 or 2. We're just like, yep, we got the points. Matthews looks good. This is our year. And then reality is like, let's simmer down, Leafs Nation. Here's what we're dealing with. When you guys can't score your way out of problems, it's going to look bad. And yesterday against the Chicago Blackhawks, did it look bad. It did not look. It was such, as a Leafs fan, I was with my buddy watching this one. I called about 3 events in the game before they happened. Okay. First of all, this one's really all over the place. So enjoy this very sporadic disaster of a episode because again, that's just what the Leafs were last night. So I guess we're in sync in that regard at least. What the fuck, guys? Like, what's going on here? How do we go from all these expectations and into yesterday's game playing the Hawks, who are not a good team? Like, no offense to any Hawks fans listening to this. You guys are not supposed to be good. So at least there's that. At least you know you're not supposed to be good. The Leafs made them look good yesterday. Like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I feel like I've been repeating myself, and I've only done 7 episodes, and I feel like I'm already saying the same things. They look so dominant at times. I think I'm not kidding. In game 3 of the season, I think about 4 teams play, and all of them were the Leafs. If you get what I mean, like we saw a dominant side, we saw a team like a portion of their game was also like, how are you guys an NHL team? Then we kind of saw a neutral performance back and forth, and then it went back to, I don't know how we're a hockey team. I get it. We're going to have bad games. I totally get it. There's 82 of them. Boston set a record last year, and they still had over 10 or 15 losses. But that's insane. Anyways, I'm going too all over the place. This game was just straight up frustrating to watch. We weren't able to capitalize on our opportunities because, again, you're not going to always score your way out of problems. Sometimes the goalie's going to have your number, and he's going to have it figured out. But let's start off with some positives. William Nylander looks great out there. He looks strong on the puck. He looks like he is very smooth on the ice, where he feels like whenever he has the puck, like I kind of trust him, at least in the offensive zone. He just kind of creates things out of nothing. We saw the goal he scored with against Minnesota. That was dirty. And I think it should be a goal of the week, but we'll see. And in this one, he kind of does the same thing. There's nothing going. It's 2 Leafs versus 3 Hawks, and he just takes the puck, attracts everyone to him, drops a pass to this guy known as John Tavares, who is the captain of the Leafs, who is a very good hockey player and should not be left alone. And he just completely rips it. And that was all set up by Nylander, and Tavares just doing what he does best, and that's finishing the play, getting it done. That was a great goal. That was just about the only positive I can take from this game. And again, I don't want to be like over dramatic, but like the fact that I was able to call 3 different in this game, let me say them first so I don't leave you in the dark. Number 1, Corey Perry was scoring a goal in this game. That was obvious. It's Corey Perry, and he hates us as much as we hate him. So he was obviously going to get a goal, and it just so happened to be the game-winning goal because, of course, it was. Well, it was, then it wasn't, and then it was again, but we'll get to that. Number 2, when the commentator said the Hawks are 0 for 16 on the power play, I looked dead in the camera and like in the TV, and I'm like, can you shut the fuck up? Why did you say that? Why did you say that? Now we know the Hawks are getting their first power play goal this year on us. It's bound. The moment they said the Hawks have yet to score a power play goal and have been struggling, I'm like, great. They're definitely scoring one tonight. And what do you know? 5 minutes later, Tyler Johnson, boom, right after Corey Perry scores, just to make matters worse, makes it 3-1 on a power play goal. And I literally just look over at my friend and I'm like, I told you. I told you that was going to happen. It's a very Leaf-like thing. There's things that happen. Like these are what I call Leafy games. Okay, when I say that, I mean these are types of games. Things are going to happen that will only happen when you are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Only the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nobody else. It's not a hockey game. It's a Leafy game. And if you have a bad streak and the commentator even for a moment brings it up, you're going to terminate that bad streak and you're going to flip things around the same way they scored a power play goal. Number 2, there will always be a player for some reason who will be, for the vast majority of the season, irrelevant. But when he plays us, he just levels up. Josh Anderson, Corey Perry. We're going to see throughout these next coming games, but in 3 games, I'd name 2 of them. My point. But it was just like, oh my God. Anyways, actually, when they said before that on the, if you guys were watching the game, they said Corey Perry has never scored a game-winning goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm like, this commentator, man, like, you're putting some voodoo on this team as though we don't have enough already. So when I was saying before, Corey Perry had the game-winning goal, then he didn't, and then he had the game-winning goal again. Some of you guys might have thought, well, he didn't score 2 goals. No, you're right. He didn't. He scored 1, and it was the 2-1 goal. The thing is that the Hawks scored an empty net goal in the last 55 seconds of the game. They review it, offside, no goal. In my head, I'm like, 3-1, 4-1, we're not winning this game. But the fact that they call it back, there's that little bit of Leaf-like neurological connection in my brain that's like, wait, we still have a chance because we're delusional. We had no business being in this game. But I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's possible. They did it against the Habs, could do it again. I don't know. And then what do you know? They come back, they score, and now it's 3-2 with 6 seconds left. And I'm like, of course, we're going to lose this one. But you know what? At least Corey Perry will not have his first game-winning goal against the Leafs. At least I can take that away and go to bed tonight and be like, didn't go well, but it could have gone worse. No, it couldn't have, because even that goal had to get taken back, another offside call. So at this point, there is 55 seconds left in the game, and matter of fact, there was 50 seconds left in the game, then there was 6 seconds left in the game, and then 10 minutes later, there was 56 seconds left in the game. Guys, what the fuck is going on here? What is happening here? Like, it was ridiculous. It was 4-1, 3-2, 4-1. You couldn't have just let the goal count and let it finish on, so you didn't have to leave me in despair. Anyways, I'm like shifting the blame all the outside of to the outside of Toronto. This whole game was just a disaster. I wouldn't say in goal, Joseph Woll did look better, but for the third game in a row, this team concedes 4 goals. That's not sustainable to win hockey games. by any means. I know one of them was an empty net, but it's not sustainable. It really isn't. It's not. It wasn't Joseph Wool's fault. I thought he let in one kind of muffin, but the team wasn't helping him out at all. The first goal, the Leafs couldn't clear it at all. There was his own defenseman standing in front of him, couldn't see the puck. The second goal was a Perry breakaway. I mean, what are you going to do? Corey Perry, as much as I can't stand him, he's a great hockey player. You're going to score on breakaways. I mean, I hope. And the third one was a Tyler Johnson power play goal. Yeah, it went under his glove if he would have tightened up a little bit, but I'm not putting that on him by any means because I actually thought Joseph Woll had a decent game. But again, yeah, 4 goals. That's 12 goals against in 3 games versus like mediocre teams. Like the Wild were the best team that we've played, like in terms of what we're expecting from these teams. But we played 2 like bottom tier teams in our first 3 games, and we're still letting in 4 goals on average. It's 4. Yeah, 4 because it was 7. No, sorry. We've let in 13. Even it gets worse. You know what I mean? So how do we fix this? Like what's the problem? Is it a certain defensive pairing? Well, I don't think so because I can recall several moments of a bunch of different players and different units being out on the ice in terms of the Leafs, where it still resulted in awful play in our own zone. So is it like a dynamic of the team? Like, do we have to bring in another player? Well, I think we brought in players. So I think we have defensive players who should be reliable in our own zone and an overall game. So I'm just looking at this game and I'm heavily split. I'm like, am I just overreacting probably at something that like, am I judging too soon? Like it's 3 games in. We all remember the start of last season, and it was god awful, and then the Leafs just went on a run. Or is it actually a problem? Is it genuinely a problem that we have that have just become very prevalent through the first 3 games? And to be honest, to all Leaf fans in here, I know the last game pissed us off. It's exactly what it is. It's game 3. Let's chill out. You guys, some of you guys might, why is this guy all going nuts? It's just the way we are. We can look at every detail and we're like, we got to change it. We got to go and make a trade. No, we don't. It's 3 games into the season. We're going to see some stuff that we don't like. We're going to see things we do like Auston Matthews getting 2 hat tricks in a row. Unfortunately, not a third. He didn't get a hat trick of a hat trick. That would have been so cool, though. Like, how cool would that have been? That would have been really cool. I think he would have been the first player in NHL history to do that. I don't know. I actually don't know. Was there a player ever to get 3 hat tricks in a row in the first 3 games of the season? And if there is, what kind of menace are you? Oof. Anyways, but yeah, so there's been some good things that Toronto's been able to do. I mean, offensively, they got it. Even yesterday in the game against the Hawks, when they started to play, and I've said it before, that's what pisses me off the most. Like, if they just played the way they play in the last, like, 3 to 4 minutes of a hockey, holy shit, we would, like, lose 5% of hockey games. It doesn't make sense. The Hawks could do nothing in those. The Leafs had an empty net for the last 4 minutes and some. And for like 3 of those minutes, the Hawks literally did not touch the puck. They were skating around. Where was that in the game? 60 minutes, guys. 60 minutes is a hockey game, not 6. Okay? I've said it. I'm going all over the place. Like, there's the 2, as you guys can see, there's literally 2 sides of my brain talking throughout this podcast. There's the, oh, chill out. There's only 3 games into the season and there's 79 to go. Let's relax and save our energy. And then there's the demonic, traumatized, hurt Leafs fan that's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why are we not winning every game? Because we are very much capable, but you keep losing in Leaf-like fashion. And those are just like 2 sides of the brain clashing. And I feel like a lot of Leaf fans can relate to what I just said. And I feel like every other person who's not a Leaf fan listening to this game are literally looking or listening to this podcast right now and being like, yeah, this kid needs help. And you're probably right. I probably do. I can definitely use some rearranging in my head. That's for sure. But overall, will the Leafs have to make a trade? It's too soon to tell, in my opinion. I like to reassess I like to give my genuine insight and like make a genuine judgment on a team. And I give myself the limit of the first 20 games. Let the first 20 play out. 15 at least. 3 is crazy. As much as I want to start diving deep into, oh my God, this team needs to make this trade and this guy needs to move to the 5th line and this goalie's got to move here and we got to go and make a huge move. No, we don't. We really don't. And I'm glad I'm not the GM of the Leafs because I would have no idea what I was doing, which is exactly why I'm just a diehard fan who has heavily emotional opinions on this team. So I think what I'm going to take from this is let's let it play out. There's clearly some issues with our defensive game. Now, where these issues come from has not yet been identified. And maybe it's just a case of the early season blues where we're still trying to figure it out. I mean, there is a lot of new players on this team. So getting that chemistry, like even Bertuzzi's still looking a little bit, he's having his moments. He's having his doubts. Like, you know what I mean? Domi yet to make his true impact, find his spot on the team. Klingberg, definitely more noticeable, which I was kind of surprised with. But there's a lot of new names, as you can tell. So give them some time to settle in. They are human at the end of the day, and it takes time. Chemistry takes time to build. So let's give it a little bit of time, and we'll reassess. But I think that's a pretty good summary. But I want to know, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? I got to tell you, thank God. Oh, I'm so happy that hockey is back. I am so ecstatic. Like, I don't want to talk about anything else. I do not want to talk about anything else other than hockey. I want to talk everything hockey. I want to talk about all the plays that I've seen that have already been candidates for like plays of the year. Jacob Trouba. This one's really a random episode. I love this. This is the way I am. Welcome to the show. Jacob Trouba's save could go as the save of the year, and he's not even a goalie. Did you guys see that? That was insane. That was like insane. Where am I? How did we get here? What am I talking about? Hockey, right? We all love that. It's just so good to be back. It's just so good to turn on TSN and like not have only baseball highlights. You know what I mean? No offense to any diehard baseball fan in there, which I feel like you can relate. I'm just happy to be watching highlights. Like I literally sat down, what was it, 2 nights ago? And I think I spent like an hour and a half just watching random hockey game highlights for no reason at all. I'm just like, oh, I have nothing to do. Let me just go and watch the highlights of the Hurricanes playing the Kings. Does it have any effect on the Leafs? Absolutely not. Do I get enjoyment out of watching teams score cool goals? 100%. I'm going to go and do that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Is there a real problem with the Leafs right now, or is it just a case of the early season blues? What questions do you have on this team? What answers are you looking for? We're going to have to give it time, in my opinion, but I want to hear back from you guys and your genuine thoughts. And that is how I'm going to end out this episode, guys. I just want to take this moment once again to thank you guys so much for the support. Wherever you're tuning in from, wherever you're listening, whoever you are, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to genuinely listen to the podcast. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you can have a laugh out of it. I hope it makes you kind of forget the real world a bit. As you know, it could be tough sometimes. World's going through some things right now. So I hope I can at least bring you a little bit of joy. And I'm really thankful for every single person liking the podcast, whether you're leaving a rating, whether you're subscribing, dropping a comment, sharing, all of that. It really, really does mean the world on a serious note. So guys, I'm going to say that. thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Stay tuned because there is many more to come. The roller coaster has barely even fallen off the cliff yet. So we're going to be getting into that into later episodes. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I love y'all. And then to the Sickest Leaf podcast with your psychotic Leafs fan host. Have a great day. Producer, roll the tape.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with That Leafs Fan on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.